It's 3 a.m. You can't sleep. Your mind is racing, running the same loop over and over again. Rent's due in a week. The car's making that sound again. Groceries, utilities, maybe a medical bill you didn't plan for. You start doing mental math in the dark, and every scenario ends the same way. If just one thing goes wrong, the whole month collapses. Out of habit, you grab your phone and check your bank app. There it is, $5,000. For a moment, you breathe a little easier. Finally, a cushion. Finally, you're not living paycheck to paycheck. But here's the problem. $5,000 in the bank isn't freedom. Not yet. Left sitting there, it slowly loses value. Spent the wrong way, it disappears before you even notice. Handled the right way though, that money is the pivot point, the line between panic and confidence. The moment you shift from survival mode to builder mode, and that shift changes everything. My name's Ivan, and I break down money through psychology and wealth building, because the truth is, this game isn't just about numbers on a screen, it's about how your brain reacts to stress, to fear, to choices. Most people never learn how to control that, and that's why 5,000 disappears. My job is to show you how to flip it, so your money starts working for you, not against you. Think of that 5,000 like fitness. If you walk into the gym for the first time and you can do a single clean pull-up, you're not an athlete. But you've built a base most people never reach. From there, you can train, you can add weight, you can get stronger. Money works the same way. 5,000 won't make you rich, it won't retire you. But it's the first point where your brain flips. Suddenly, you're not gasping for air every month. You've got room to breathe, room to think clearly, room to make smarter moves. That shift from scarcity to stability is the foundation of financial freedom. And without it, nothing else sticks. Here's the first truth you need to face. Nearly half of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency. Think about that. One flat tire, one urgent care visit, one broken appliance, and for most people, the only option is to swipe a credit card and fall straight into 20% interest debt. That's why your 5,000 matters. You're already ahead of the curve. But here's the catch. If you treat that money like extra cash, it vanishes. New shoes, a weekend trip, a handful of impulse buys, gone. And when the emergency hits, you're right back where you started. The psychology here is massive. When you have even 2,000 or 3,000 locked away, your stress response changes. Cortisol, the stress hormone, starts to drop. Your brain finally quiets down. You stop living in fight or flight mode and you start making rational, calm decisions. That's why the first thing you do with 5,000 is simple. Carve out 2,000 to 3,000 and park it in a high yield savings account. Call it your runway. Give it a name that makes it untouchable, because this isn't extra spending money. This is the shield between you and chaos. And once you feel what it's like to have that shield, you'll never want to live without it again. Once you've carved out that starter shield, the next step is extending it. Most experts say 3 to 6 months of living expenses is the sweet spot. Ultra cautious people aim for 12. Let's make it real. If your monthly bills run about $2,000, then your target range is $6,000 to $12,000 saved. But here's what the math doesn't capture. The psychological weight that lifts when you know you could lose your job tomorrow and still be okay for months. That's when desperation fades. That's when you stop clinging to toxic bosses or bad jobs just to survive. Suddenly, you're the one with leverage that's walking away money. It's not about hoarding cash for the sake of it, it's about rewiring your brain. With 1 month of savings, you still feel fragile. With 3 months, you start breathing easier. With 6, you think clearer. At 12, you move different. You negotiate harder, you spot opportunities, and you stop living in constant fear. So the move here is simple but powerful. Every extra dollar that comes in, feed your runway until you hit that comfort number. Because the further out you push survival mode, the faster you unlock builder mode. Now let's address the weight nobody likes to talk about. Debt. The average credit card charges around 20% interest. Some personal loans climb to 40 or 60. Let me put that in perspective. If you owe $5,000 on a card, you're basically burning $1,000 a year in interest alone, just for the privilege of staying in the hole. Here's where psychology comes in. Carrying debt changes how you see yourself. Every time you make a payment and the balance barely moves, you're reminded you're working for the bank. That's an identity trap. And as long as you stay in it, your 5,000 isn't freedom, it's a mirage. The shift happens when you flip the script. When you kill that toxic debt, every dollar of interest you no longer pay is a dollar that stays in your pocket. You go from being someone who leaks money to being someone who keeps money. That shift is addicting because suddenly you're in control. So here's the rule. Once you've set aside your emergency shield, use the rest of that 5,000 to crush high interest debt. Credit cards, payday loans, overdrafts, the stuff that bleeds you dry. Because paying off a card charging 20% is the same as earning a guaranteed 20% return. No investment on earth gives you that without risk. This is the identity flip, from debtor to builder, from someone trapped by payments to someone free to invest. And that psychological transformation is worth more than the math. So you've built your shield. You've killed the toxic debt. Now comes the step most people hesitate on: investing. This is where fear creeps in. What if I lose it? What if the market crashes? What if I don't know enough? And that fear is exactly why most people stay stuck. Here's the reality. If you leave $5,000 sitting in a savings account, maybe you earn a few percent a year. At best, after 12 months, you'll have around $5,600. That's something, but it's not moving the needle. Inflation alone eats half of that gain. The money feels safe, but in truth, it's shrinking. Now flip it. Take part of that $5,000 and put it into a broad index fund. Over decades, the stock market has returned around 7% above inflation. At that rate, even small, steady contributions snowball into life-changing amounts. The math is simple. $200 a month, invested consistently, turns into tens of thousands in just 10 years. But here's a psychological payoff. The moment you buy your first fraction of an index fund, something changes in your brain. You're no longer just a consumer watching prices rise. You're an owner. When the market grows, you grow with it. And that shift from fear to ownership is the mental key that separates people who stay broke from people who build wealth. So the move is clear. Start now, start small, but start. Automate $200 a month if you can. If that feels too big, start with 20, even 10. The habit matters more than the size, because every automated transfer is a signal to your brain. I'm no longer surviving. I'm building. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. Saving alone won't make you wealthy. Cutting coffee or skipping dinners out won't get you to financial freedom. The real unlock is earning more and turning that extra into investments that compound. Think about it. An extra $300 a month invested steadily at 7% turns into roughly $50,000 in just 10 years. That's not lottery money. That's grocery money transformed into a down payment, into walking away money, into freedom. But the psychology is even bigger. The moment you create an extra income stream, no matter how small, you stop seeing money as scarce. Suddenly, you're not just protecting what you have, you're multiplying it. That shift from I can't to I can create is addictive. It makes you feel powerful, and the barrier is lower than you think. People overcomplicate it, but extra income can come from skills you already have. Tutoring, freelancing, selling online, creating digital products, even renting out small equipment or tools can create steady cash flow. The point isn't how flashy it is, the point is feeding the system. Because here's the cycle. Earn more, invest more, grow more. Once you taste that loop, you'll never see money the same way again. $5,000 in the bank becomes a seed that fuels an engine, and that engine never has to shut off. Now here's the part nobody tells you, because it doesn't sound exciting. Wealth isn't built on hacks, or secret investments, or overnight plays. It's built on discipline and patience. And patience is boring. This is why so many people blow their $5,000. They get restless. They see someone on social media promising 10% returns per month, guaranteed. They see a friend jump into crypto or some shiny stock and they think, why not me? And then, gone. Years of slow progress wiped out in one bad decision. The psychology here is simple. Our brains are wired for instant gratification. We crave speed. But investing is the opposite. It's slow, it's methodical, it's invisible. You don't feel rich when your index fund ticks up a fraction of a percent. But 5, 10, 15 years later, that's when it all shows. So the real skill isn't finding the next hot investment. It's building guardrails that protect you from yourself. That means boring, broad index funds. That means keeping your emergency runway intact. That means ignoring hype and scams, no matter how tempting they sound. Because the truth is, the people who win this game aren't the smartest or the fastest or the luckiest. They're the ones who can sit with boredom, who can let compounding do its work without blowing it all up chasing shortcuts. That patience is the ultimate flex, and it's the reason $5,000 in the bank can turn into 50 or 100 or more, if you let time do its job. So let's zoom out and compare. The average path looks like this. You keep $5,000 sitting in your checking account. Inflation quietly eats away at it. An emergency hits, you swipe the credit card, and now you're paying 20% interest on top of the stress you were already carrying. Boredom creeps in, you chase something flashy, a stock tip, a crypto pump, a guaranteed scheme, and before you know it, the 5,000 is gone, stressed back to maximum. Years wasted. Now, let's look at the disciplined path. You take 3,000 and lock it down as your runway, untouchable. You use part of what's left to crush toxic debt, and suddenly, those interest payments vanish. You set up a simple, boring auto invest plan with the rest, and now, every month, your money quietly compounds in the background. At the same time, you find ways to bring in a few $100s extra, and instead of spending it, you feed the engine. The results? The average person ends the year more stressed with less money than they started. The disciplined person ends the year calmer, more confident, with their net worth quietly growing. The numbers don't lie. The difference isn't luck. It's psychology and choices. Here's the real truth. $5,000 will not make you rich, but it's the moment where your identity shifts. Most people let money control them. They stress, they panic, they spend without thinking. You're standing at a fork in the road. You can treat that 5,000 like a temporary cushion and watch it vanish. Or you can treat it like the foundation of something bigger, because this isn't just about numbers, it's about who you decide to become. Are you the person who leaks money the moment life gets hard, or are you the person who keeps it, grows it, and uses it to buy freedom? Your next move doesn't have to be complicated. Rename your savings account Runway so you never touch it. Automate $200 into an index fund so investing happens even when you forget. Or wipe out one chunk of toxic debt today so you never pay interest on it again. Those actions might feel small, but they're declarations. They say, I'm no longer in survival mode, I'm building, I'm protecting my future, I'm becoming the kind of person who keeps money and multiplies it. So take one step tonight, because the 5,000 in your account isn't the finish line, it's the starting point. And the system you build around it will decide whether it disappears or whether it buys you time, choice, and freedom.